In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on December 11th, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Portland Trail Blazers versus New Orleans Pelicans. Portland heads into New Orleans in one of those awkward spots where the better team on paper is also the one limping through injuries and a rough patch of form. It is not exactly a glamour spot, but it is a big one for the Trail Blazers' confidence as they wrap up a long road trip at the Smoothie King Center. On the Portland side, they are still missing Drew Holiday, Donovan Clingan, Matisse Thybulle, and Scoot Henderson, so the injury report reads like a CVS receipt. Even so, they come in with slightly steadier form than New Orleans, which tells you a lot about where the Pelicans are mentally right now. Portland has not been brilliant either. They have just one win in their last 6 games, but players like Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe, and Denny Avdija have at least produced stretches of real quality. Having 3 full days between games should help them reset a bit, get their legs under them, and try to look more like the team they were before this skid started. This game also closes out a 5-game road swing for Portland, and that kind of spot tends to matter more than people admit. A win here is not just another tick in the standings, it is a mood changer. You come home feeling like the trip was salvaged instead of wasted. From that angle, the Pelicans are almost the ideal opponent right now. New Orleans, honestly, looks stuck. Zion Williamson is ruled out and expected to miss at least 3 weeks. DeJounte Murray is out, and Jordan Poole's status is up in the air. The Pelicans keep running into the same wall, a mix of bad health and worse timing. They have dropped 7 games in a row, and if you stretch it back to last season, their December record is a brutal 0-14 straight up in their last 14 games played in that month. That is the kind of trend that gets into a locker room's head. There are small, bright spots. Rookie Derek Queen was a genuine breath of fresh air, posting a triple-double in their last loss to San Antonio. He gave them energy, creativity, and a bit of swagger. But relying heavily on a rookie, unless he is one of those once-in-a-generation types, is risky in this league. Defenses adjust fast. The matchup history tilts toward Portland as well. The Blazers have taken 4 of the last 5 meetings and have covered the spread in 5 of the last 6 clashes with the Pelicans. Even in New Orleans, they have handled themselves well, going 4-2 straight up in their last 6 visits. Almost a month ago, these teams met on this same floor, and Portland won 125-117 behind a 35-point explosion from Sharpe, leading by as many as 15. It is pretty clear this pairing suits Portland's style. It still feels a little odd seeing the Trail Blazers listed as road favorites given how many key pieces are missing. The Pelicans, even without Zion, have at least gotten a bit healthier around the edges recently. But when you pull back and look at current form, matchup history, and the psychological angle of Portland needing this one to stop the bleeding, the case leans toward the Blazers. They have covered in 7 of their last 10 games, so they have been performing reasonably well against market expectations even while chasing better overall results. New Orleans, on the other hand, keeps finding fresh ways to lose close or winnable games. If Portland is serious about turning their season around, this is the sort of spot they simply have to handle. As our first pick for this matchup, the Portland Trail Blazers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Portland is averaging 117.4 points per game on 44.2% shooting, while giving up 120.7 points on 47.9% shooting. They are not exactly a defensive juggernaut, but their offense is also more volume-based than hyper-efficient. They shoot 33% from 3 and 79.8% from the free throw line, which is solid but not exactly terrifying. One useful detail is their work on the glass, grabbing 45.8 rebounds per game, which can slow things down down slightly because more boards often mean fewer second-chance explosions the other way. New Orleans sits a bit lower on the scoring side, averaging 113 points on 45.8% shooting and allowing 123.7 points on 49.8%. The Pels are shooting 34.7% from beyond the arc and 78% from the stripe, numbers that are good enough to keep them competitive in individual quarters, but their defense bleeds points, especially from deep, allowing opponents to hit 37.1% from three. They pull in 42 rebounds per game, which is respectable but not dominant. Here is the thing, though, injuries matter a lot when you project a total. The Pelicans are missing Zion, who is not only a scorer but also a gravity piece who bends defenses, opens lanes, and speeds up possessions. With Murray out and Poole potentially limited, their offense becomes more patchwork, more dependent on role players and a rookie who just logged a triple-double. That sort of situation often leads to clunky stretches, longer possessions, and fewer high-efficiency shots. On Portland's side, the absences of Holiday, Henderson, Klingon, and Thibault affect both ends. Missing ball handlers and playmakers can drag the tempo down a bit as they lean more on set plays and half-court actions instead of flying up and down the floor. You still get scoring from Grant and Sharp, but the attack can feel more predictable. It is a bit like watching a playlist with fewer surprise tracks. You know the hits are coming, but not constantly. When you blend all of that, you get two teams that are capable of putting up points, but also very capable of stumbling through long, quiet stretches where the offenses sputter. Given the injury context, recent form, and how often both sides have leaned on a few main scorers while the rest of the rotation struggles to keep up, a more controlled scoring environment makes a lot of sense. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Boston Celtics versus Milwaukee Bucks. The Celtics and Bucks get together at Pfizer Forum on Thursday in what should be a fascinating spot, even if it is for some messy reasons. Boston comes in still without Jason Tatum and Chris Boucher, yet they have quietly stitched together a 5-game win streak that has them playing with a lot of confidence. They look like that team you do not fully trust on paper because of the absences, but then you look up and they are up 15 after a quick burst. Milwaukee, on the other hand, is missing Giannis Antetokounmpo and Taurean Prince, and AJ Green is sitting in the questionable bucket. On top of that, they come into this one in a flat-out slump. They were not really competitive against the Pistons in their last game, even though Kevin Porter Jr. poured in 32 points, which sort of tells you how frayed the edges are right now. When a team gets handled by a struggling group like Detroit, fans start refreshing social media more than the scoreboard. There is also the noise factor. Giannis is caught up in trade chatter, and that means every media session turns into the same repeated questions that nobody in that locker room actually wants to hear again. That kind of thing does not always show up on a stat sheet, but it sneaks into focus, game planning, and body language. Meanwhile, Boston just keeps stacking results, 8-2 SU and 9-1 ATS over their last 10, which suggests they are not just winning, they are also consistently outperforming expectations. You have one team moving steadily upward and another trying not to trip over its own shoelaces. The Bucks could absolutely see some better individual efforts at home. Role players often feel less tight in their own building, and a couple of early threes can change how everybody feels about life. Still, this version of the Celtics is very capable of stringing together quick scoring runs that flip the game in a blink, especially against a defense that has been leaking points and a roster missing its leader. So the real question here is which side feels more trustworthy against a fairly thick number in this specific spot. As our first pick for this matchup, the Boston Celtics to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Boston is averaging 117.3 points per game on 47.3% shooting while allowing 110.6 points on 44.6% shooting. That profile fits a team that can score in bunches while still keeping things reasonably tidy on defense, although not exactly in lockdown territory. They shoot 36.9% from 3 and 78.7% from the line, and they pull down 43.8 rebounds per night, which usually means more second chances and a little extra chaos on missed shots. Milwaukee, for its part, is averaging 115.1 points on 49.1% shooting, which is very efficient, but they are giving up 118 points per game on 47.4% shooting. So you have an offense that can still hum even when the main star is out, backed by a defense that lets opponents stay very comfortable. They knock down 40.9% from deep, a strong clip, but they sit at 71.4% at the free throw line, which sometimes turns easy points into mild frustration. Their 39 8.4 rebounds per game trail Boston's work on the glass, and that difference can sneak extra possessions into the total. When you put those numbers next to each other, you get a matchup that leans toward rhythm and scoring rather than a grind fest. Boston's balance, Milwaukee's offensive talent even without Giannis, and both defenses allowing healthy shooting percentages all lean toward a game where runs stack up and the scoreboard operator stays busy, especially with the Bucks defense in its current form, and with both teams comfortable firing from three. There is a decent chance this turns into more of a trading buckets kind of night than a slow, tactical struggle. So from a totals perspective, this projects as the type of contest where points come in steady waves rather than in short supply. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Clippers versus Houston Rockets. The Los Angeles Clippers head to the Toyota Center on Thursday night to face the Houston Rockets. On paper, it still sounds like a marquee matchup, even if the vibe around these two teams feels very different right now. The Clippers are still playing without Bradley Beal and Derrick Jones Jr., while the Rockets have once again ruled out Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Fred VanVleet. Form is a big part of the story here. The Clippers are coming off that brutal collapse against the Timberwolves where they wasted an 18-point lead, the kind of loss that sticks with a team on a long road trip. Confidence does not exactly look sky-high right now. The Rockets, on the other hand, had been rolling before they completely fell flat against the Mavericks in their last outing, a classic lay-an-egg spot that every team has sooner or later. It feels more like a bump in the road for them than a full-on crisis. When you look at the rosters, the Clippers still have enough talent to challenge the Rockets and pretty much anyone else if they are actually locked in. That is the frustrating part. So far this season, they simply have not been. It is not shocking that they come into this matchup as clear underdogs, even though the names on their jerseys suggest they should be in a much better place. Here is the thing, from a side perspective, this Clippers group has been one of the most disappointing tickets you can punch right now. They are not just losing games, they are also burning bankrolls, sitting at 7-17 ATS on the season, which puts them near the bottom of the league in terms of covering. Anyone who has backed them consistently probably feels like they are donating. There are stretches where they look disengaged, almost like they would rather be anywhere other than grinding through another regular season night. The schedule does not help either. They have been away from home since December 1st, living out of hotels, dealing with flights, buses, and the usual road routine that sounds glamorous until you actually have to do it for weeks. That kind of travel wears on chemistry and focus, especially for a team already searching for an identity. Meanwhile, the Rockets have had time to regroup after that dud against Dallas, reset at home, and get their legs back under them. There is also a small trend that leans in the same direction. The favorite has covered in 8 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams, which hints that when one side is expected to be better, the market has not been aggressive enough with the number. Put that together with current form and emotional energy, and it is hard to make a serious case for the Clippers at the moment. Honestly, wanting little to do with the Clippers in this spot feels less like a hot take and more like basic self-care. Over the long run, that kind of underachieving profile usually keeps punters away until something truly changes. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Rockets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Los Angeles Clippers are averaging 111.6 points per game on 46.9% shooting from the field and allowing 116.8 points on 47.8% shooting. They are hitting 35.2% of their three-point attempts and a strong 83.6% from the free throw line. On the other end, they are giving up 39.1% shooting from deep and pulling down 41.2 rebounds per contest. That mix of decent offense with leaky perimeter defense often creates games that feel more open than the coaching staff would like. The Houston Rockets, by contrast, are playing with a more assertive offensive profile right now. They are averaging 121 points per game on 48.7% shooting and giving up 110.3 points on 45.6% shooting. From outside, they are connecting on 39.9% of their threes and hitting 79.2% at the line. On the glass, they are grabbing 48.8 rebounds per game, which suggests second chance looks, long rebounds into transition, and just more possessions overall. That rebounding edge alone can quietly push a total higher, since extra shots usually mean extra scoring chances, even if both teams are not completely locked in defensively. When you put those profiles side by side, you get an interesting contrast. The Clippers allow a lot of efficient looks, especially from beyond the arc, while the Rockets are one of the better three-point shooting teams in this matchup by percentage. If Houston keeps that same rhythm at home, the math points toward plenty of clean looks and a steady scoreboard. At the same time, the Clippers have enough shot makers and free throw reliability to hang around offensively, even when they are losing the overall battle. Games like this can sometimes look ugly from a narrative standpoint, with one side underperforming and the other trying to bounce back from a bad showing, but ugly games still cash totals. The combination of Houston's pace and offensive confidence, the Clippers' defensive issues, and the Rockets' rebounding strength suggests that both teams can push this into a higher scoring environment than the number might initially imply. It is not hard to imagine stretches where defense takes a back seat to quick shots and frustration fouls, which also helps the total creep upward. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Denver Nuggets versus Sacramento Kings. Denver heads into Sacramento dealing with its own absences, with Aaron Gordon, Christian Braun, and Julian Strawther still out, but the Kings are even more depleted with Zach LaVine, Dennis Schroeder, and Domantas Sabonis ruled out. That is a lot of playmaking and scoring removed from a team that was already struggling to keep games competitive. When a roster that is already wobbling loses 3 rotation players, it usually does not suddenly become more reliable against a high-level opponent. It just leaks more. From a spread angle, the recent patterns are hard to ignore. The Nuggets have not covered in each of their last 6 games as a double-digit favorite, and in 3 of those they did not just fail to cover, they lost outright. Anyone who has backed big favorites before knows that feeling where a supposed layup turns into a slow burn on the live line. Even so, context matters. The Kings are sitting on an 8 to 15 to 1 against the spread record, which is one of the worst cover marks in the league, and now they are even thinner. That combination of poor form and missing bodies makes it harder to trust them, even catching a big number. There is also the recent history between these teams. Denver has taken 7 of the last 8 meetings against Sacramento, yet the Kings did pull the upset a couple of weeks ago when they were an 11-point underdog. That sets up a very natural revenge spot for the Nuggets, a group that usually responds when stung like that. The earlier loss does not guarantee anything, of course, but it does add a little extra focus to a matchup where Denver was already going to be favored heavily. On top of that, the Nuggets look like they have steadied themselves. They spent a short stretch treading water while the injuries piled up, but they have started to climb again, playing more like the contender people expect. The Kings, on the other hand, have kept sliding, including dropping one to a slumping Pacers team, and now they are down more scoring with LaVine sidelined. Denver is sitting on an 11-2 road record so far, which speaks to how comfortable they are away from home, and in a spot where their talent, form, and relative health all tilt in the same direction. The probability leans toward them not only winning but having enough of a cushion to cover the spread by the final buzzer. As our first pick for this matchup, the Denver Nuggets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Denver is averaging 125 points on 51.3% shooting while allowing 116.4 points on 46.5% shooting. That is a very efficient offense paired with a defense that is good enough but not exactly suffocating. Sacramento, by contrast, is averaging 111.5 points on 46.6% shooting and giving up 122 points on 49.7% shooting. On paper, those raw numbers scream points, and a casual glance might make you think this matchup is headed straight for a high-scoring track meet. Here is the thing, the details start to nudge the picture in the other direction. Denver is knocking down 39.7% from 3 and hitting 82.7% at the free throw line, which is elite production, and they are pulling in 44.8 rebounds per game. That kind of efficiency allows them to control tempo, especially when they are the healthier side. When a team can score that easily, it does not always mean the game explodes in total points. Sometimes it just means they build a lead and manage the pace. Sacramento is shooting 35.4% from deep and 75.2% at the line, with 40 rebounds per game. Those are solid but not explosive numbers, and now you take away 3 rotation players, including a key offensive hub in Sabonis and another scorer in LaVine based on the way the matchup is framed. That usually leads to choppier possessions, more missed shots, and fewer efficient trips overall. The Kings are already allowing 35.1% from 3 and 122 points per game, and while that suggests they give up plenty, it also hints that they can get stuck chasing games in a way that drags their own offense into ugly stretches. So when you blend Denver's efficient, controlled scoring with a short-handed Kings lineup that has been leaky on defense and inconsistent on offense, you get a game that can still be comfortable for the favorite but does not necessarily need to turn into a shootout. The raw averages are high, but the specific setup here leans toward a lower scoring outcome than the numbers alone might suggest, which puts the projected total in a range where the under holds more appeal by the time the final horn sounds. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.